ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Neighborish livecast. I'm Super Dave, aka Grandpa McBeardsley. No, and yeah, we got a great show for you today, man. I'm really excited. We have a good friend of the show with us today. The last time she was here, well, since the last time she appeared on the show, she did a interview chronicling her journey of living selfish-free and whole plant exclusive. Did I get it right?
Yes,
And that
you did.
and that interview went viral and has been picked up by news stations, blogs, and podcasts across the country. She also, as if that wasn't enough, she also wrote 2 books, started a master class, and all this is on top of all the awesome things she already does. The Just Her Getaways, the Eating for Your Life, the Abundance is My Birthright, all the awesomeness that she is. Ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable EVON is with us, and we're so happy to have her here. How are you?
Oh my goodness, I'm doing wonderful, 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 Dave.
That's
How are
good.
you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm doing well, man. Happy to be here and happy to have you here with us today.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So let's get the pleasantries out of the way. How was your week? How was your
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But I got to bring us in.
Yes, yes, you
Okay.
do. So Yvonne wrote a update to our jingle, to our theme song, and she killed the last time she was here, and we have to have her do it again just because she's here, and why not? Let's.
All right. You watching and listening to Neighborish Live. Hoping you're grooving too and you're feeling this vibe. Make sure that you're tuning in, come along for this ride on Neighborish Live, on Neighborish Live. You're watching and listening to Neighborish Live. Hoping you're tuning in and you're feeling this vibe. Make sure that you're tuning in, come along for this ride on Neighborish Live, on Neighborish Live.
That's dope. That's dope.
Now.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. I still have to. Well, you sent me the audio, but I want to. I'm gonna record it, so we can.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
use
have
it as the.
to.
Yeah, the official thingamajig there. So before we get into all the awesome, amazing things that you've been doing, yeah, because I'm really interested in talking about this interview because you're a superstar now. Oh, and I got to get an autograph from you before you leave here. But
Thank you, Dave.
definitely. But I do want to talk about a few things that's going on in the city, in the country, in the world. I want to start by saying this evening, for the first time ever, we're doing a very special episode of Neighborish at 7 o'clock, and featuring none other than Jason. He went off to do some things, but he came back for this very special moment. And so basically, he called me last night and was like, "We got to do a show tomorrow." I'm like, "I'm already doing a show tomorrow. Yvonne's coming on. It's gonna be amazing." And he's like, "No, no, we got to do one at 7 o'clock in the evening." And I'm like, "I don't do shows at 7 o'clock in the evening because I work Sunday night. So after I do the show Monday, I sleep the rest of the day."
Yeah.
He's like, "We got to do it." And when he told me why, I agreed to do it. So basically, on social media, over the last week or so, DC Council member Trayon White and the brother Malcolm, who's known as Ock, who owns City Beats, the clothing store on MLK and Malcolm X, they had a public disagreement over social media. And while they're both upstanding guys and the type who can have disagreements and not let it escalate to a point beyond return, basically, some people were still taking it in a certain direction. And so seeing that and being friends with both of them, Jason contacted them and had them agree to come on and talk out the issue like men, and kind of give an example to the young people of how we can have differences and agree to disagree and still be cool. And so it's such a powerful message and something that needs to be done. I'm really excited about it. So tonight at 7 o'clock, y'all check us out. We'll be back um, actually in the Nubian Human. I have the background of the Nubian Human up, but Jay set it up for us to be in there for one night only. I appreciate that. So it should be interesting and powerful and something that's necessary. So if you have time tonight, 7 o'clock, check us out. Um, yeah, it should be awesome.
That's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So something I know you wanted to talk about, Yvonne, and I wanted to mention to everyone. If I say the name Angela Hill, most people in this area probably wouldn't know who I was talking about, but every day thousands of DMV residents passed her or saw her under the 295 overpass at the entrance to the Sousa Bridge. In fact, she had over the years become affectionately known as the lady under the bridge. And those with a caring enough heart or courageous enough spirit would even venture out to talk to her, to strike up conversations and bring her food and toiletries and other necessities. And just got to know her as a staple of the area because she was always there. So unfortunately, last week, Miss Hill passed away due to the frigid temperatures that the DMV went through. And I saw a story. I was telling Yvonne I saw a story, and I found it on USA 9, and it was really well done. They had talked to her family and talked about just mental illness as a whole, and just some of the things that she was suffering with and battling with within herself. How they had made attempts to, because she did have family that stayed right in Southeast that was not far from where she was, and they had made attempts to get her to come and stay with them and things of that nature, but she felt like her place was where she was. And I mean, when you find your place in this life, it's hard for anybody to dispute that. So they just resolved to doing the same thing that people would do. They would come and talk to her, check on her, make sure she was okay, bring her things and stuff like that. And I know, Yvonne, you say you've also done that from time to time. It's definitely a tragic loss, especially in that way. But it is what it is. I know you were saying that it touched you immensely, right? Her passing.
Oh my gosh. When I used to live out there,
Mm,
uh, I would visit with Angela, and I would bring different things to Angela. I been diagnosed with the mental illnesses that I've been diagnosed with,
mm,
which is PTSD, bipolar disorder, depression, and anxiety.
mm,
Long before I had been diagnosed with these mental illnesses, I knew that something wasn't right, but I didn't know what.
mm,
Um, I have family members
mm,
who have been diagnosed with various mental illnesses as well.
mm.
So I'm not new to the subject, I'm not new to the topics.
Right.
When I would go and visit with Angela, um, I remember as the years have progressed, particularly after I did get diagnosed with these mental illnesses, as I was telling you,
Mhm,
as I've been coming closer and closer to a time frame of finishing
mhm,
raising my children. And this year, I've been a mother for 25 years, a single mom for most of that time frame. Two girls, now 25 and about to be 18 this Sunday. Um,
mhm.
I know, right? It's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, but as I was telling you, I would think about what relevancy
Mhm,
I will have after I am done raising children.
mhm,
And because I knew and I know about these mental illnesses that I've been battling for well over 20 years myself,
mhm,
and I would think and ponder what's next for me. And sometimes um, my daughter would feel disheartened over like the last 5 years because sometimes I would say, I don't know what's next for me. I might wind up outside, just finding my peace under a bridge. And the thing that stood out to me when I would go and visit with Angela was that there seems to be some sort of peace in spite of. That touched me, that stood out to me when I found out last week that she passed away. Um, Something that I was able to remember is that she touched lives in so many different ways that she may never be aware of.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But she certainly touched mine. Um, she reminded me to think about how can I address what I've been diagnosed with. And I'm grateful because that's what I've been doing. And I'm an advocate and have been for years now, even before I got diagnosed, but particularly since I've been diagnosed. For those that are diagnosed as well with mental illnesses or not, or don't know.
Right.
I'm an advocate for trying to help people understand that we're not alone. Right. We're not by ourselves. And I knew Angela wasn't alone. I knew that. I could tell. Even before I heard the news last week, I just knew from when I would go visit her, I could feel love. I could feel it. I just knew it. And I want people to know that we're not alone. We're not alone. Whether you've been diagnosed or you haven't been diagnosed, you're experiencing whatever types of ailments, thoughts you're having, things of that nature, you're not alone. I have to remind myself I'm not alone. Mental illness and addiction, because I'm a refined food addict and overeater in recovery. What I've been learning is those things, they thrive in isolation. So I have to remind myself I am not alone, no matter how much I feel like it, because my brain sometimes tries to lie to me and tell me that I am alone, that nobody cares. And I remind myself that's not true.
It's not at all. And man, real quick, I just want to thank you so much for talking and expressing yourself through, the grief and the angst that comes with dealing with, losing, with mourning. And it's so powerful and so empowering to see someone do that and understand that it's such an amazing metaphor for through all of that you go on, you continue and you don't
and
let
we
it.
and we each figure out our individual different ways. Angela figured out hers. I'm figuring out mine. We each figure out our individual different ways. I do want to make sure that people know that there are people out here, professionals that want to help us. The National Alliance of Mental Illness, its acronym is NAMI, N-A-M-I. They are a phenomenal resource, a free resource, confidential resource to help people like myself who are in crisis, who have been going through crisis, who go through crisis sometimes. Their helpline is 1-800-950-6264. That number, someone is there Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But 24/7, you can always text NAMI to 741-741 at any time and be able to get confidential free crisis counseling. So
it's priceless.
You're not alone. Yeah, we're not alone.
Share it again. And and what you said about her finding her peace and people not understanding, like I said, her family was trying to get her to I guess live more of what they thought was a normal life. Or, but I mean, normal is of course subjective, but uh, when somebody decides where their peace is,
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard to reconcile that with your idea of what it should be. But
right.
I mean, you got to let people live their life
And
as
you
they
know
see
what?
fit.
I got a chance to watch an interview that her niece did earlier
Mm,
today. I
okay.
don't know when it happened, maybe yesterday or a few days ago, but I watched it this morning.
Okay.
And her niece was talking about how her family had grown to accept
Right.
that for her own personal reasons that they're not interested in sharing with everyone, and they don't need to be either.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That that they found peace as much as they could with
Mm,
recognizing that that is where she wanted to be.
right. Right.
And like you said, you know, we all have to figure out for ourselves
Hmm.
um where our individual where we can find our peace
Hmm.
and where we are most peaceful at in whatever space, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. They're individual journeys.
Right.
um
Right.
she's certainly touched my life. I'll always be grateful for her, for
Definitely.
sure.
Hmm.
Rest in power, Angela Hill, for sure.
Definitely. Definitely. And in interacting with you, I feel like, and um, I was just thinking when I was thinking about this, asking you this question of how interesting like perception is, because what I was about to say is, in any time I talk to you, I always get a vibe from you that you have kind of mastered that aspect of it of recognizing your personal journey to peace, and where you are always seems like as such. I know it's that I wonder how
Yep, one day
accurate
at a
that is.
time, right?
Right, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but you exude that so much, and it's so I was gonna say, do you have a process to keep you kind of in that place, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Actually, my newest ebook that I just wrote, Let Go or Be Dragged, Learning the Healing Art of Letting Go.
Mm, yeah.
I dropped it on National Black Love Day
Right.
because why not? Okay. We
Exactly.
Black and we love ourselves.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
On February the 13th, that's National Black Love Day. And
Okay.
that is when I dropped my newest ebook, Let Go or Be Dragged, Learning the Healing Art of Letting Go. And in that book, I talk about my struggles and my triumphs and my
Uh-huh.
realizations within my life and on my life journey thus far. And I also talk about an 8-step process
Mm,
that I created to the acronym of self care that has been allowing me to successfully learn how to find this peace that surpasses all understanding, that has been successfully and sustainably helping me learn how to embrace the art of the sacred art of divine self care
mm,
by learning how to let go of ideas and people who do not positively contribute to our lives.
that's huge.
So, the 8-step process to
Mm,
the acronym of self care stands for: the S is saving ourselves,
mm,
the E is getting into what excites us. So, with the S, saving ourselves, recognizing nobody is going to save us but us. So
right.
get into it. Get into
Mm,
what it looks like to save ourselves. The E, what excites us? What do we like? What do we like? Not what somebody else likes,
right.
not
Yeah.
what somebody else might be trying to convince us to like. What do
Right.
we like to do, listen to, watch, eat, the whole nine? The L, loving ourselves, getting into what does it look like to individually love ourselves? What types of things do we do? What types of shows do we watch? What types of things do we eat? What type of people do we allow around us? All of that is a part of recognizing what it looks like to love ourselves. The F in self is forgiving ourselves, recognizing that We have done all sorts of things to ourselves
Mhm.
as well as to others that we're not proud of. But just as others want to be forgiven, we deserve forgiveness of
So,
ourselves. Okay. And
mm,
that's a big one. That's
a
actually
huge
the
one, yeah.
number one reason why I wound up in the psychiatric unit, because I was consumed with guilt
Mhm.
for how I had traumatized my children. And I realized I got to forgive myself
Right,
so that I can free myself up to actually repair
right,
these
exactly,
bonds
exactly.
with myself and with my children.
Yes.
The C in care stands for cutting out all negatrons,
Good.
them negative people. You know what I mean? Cutting
Definitely,
them
yeah.
out, cutting them out, because guess what? Negative people, they do one thing really, really well.
Uh-huh.
They find a problem for every solution.
Yeah,
We don't have time for that.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's not going to work for us. The
Uh,
A is advocating for ourselves, recognizing that we deserve to stand up for ourselves.
mhm.
We deserve to be treated well. And the only way that happens is to stand up for ourselves and mandate that.
Demanded, yes,
The
yes.
R is respecting ourselves, focusing on what does it look like for ourselves, not what anybody else says. And
Right.
as a woman, I'm I used to get caught up on this one a lot.
Right,
People,
right, right.
particularly guys and patriarchy in general, trying to tell me this is what it looks like for you to
What do you
respect
respect?
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I get to determine what it
Right,
looks like to
right,
respect myself and
right,
focusing on that for myself, and recognizing that that can change from one day to the next.
right.
I embrace that. But that's me. That's what I get to decide. That's not for anyone else to decide.
Yeah.
And the E is embracing our journey as
Mm-hmm.
our own.
Mm-hmm.
It's ours, it's not anyone else's. So we get to figure it out for
Right,
ourselves.
right.
And that process,
Mm-hmm.
to that acronym self care, that has what is really what has been assisting me with finding this peace that surpasses all understanding, with recognizing that I can just take this one day at a time.
Right.
And there's no such thing as perfection. And it doesn't need to be. You
Exactly.
know? So yeah.
Yeah. So just listening to you talk, and you haven't listened to somebody talk, and so I like to point out the parallels just because the terminology that you use, it's so like you confident. It gives me confidence that you have lived this and have
Oh,
perfected the process. Have you ever listened to somebody talk and you are completely you completely know that they have no idea what they're talking about? And so, but I mean, just like some of the things that you mentioned, like the whole theme of it, first of all, of finding it for yourself. Otherwise, I've seen so many people who get caught up in what somebody else, whether it's individual, social media, something on TV or something, what somebody else tells them happiness, respect, all the things you mentioned should look like. And so they start to believe it and strive for that, and then finding it leads in disillusion because it's not what they were looking for, as opposed to looking within themselves and finding it. That's
that's
so powerful. And then when you mentioned peace beyond understanding was exactly what I was referring to, about how sometimes your peace doesn't look like what other people want it to, and it's confusing to them, and so they may even so I went through this process with my father. My father passed away in 2012,
right.
and so when I was younger, he and I didn't really have that close of a relationship. Like, he worked a lot, and it was, growing up, getting older, I understand that he did that to provide for his family and all of that. So, but as he got older, he got to a point where he started to get sick, and I came back to help my mom with taking care of him, and we built the relationship that I felt like,
Yeah.
kind of like what I missed before. But in that, I really got to know him as a person and understand how, so his thought process worked and things like that. So toward the end of his life, he had resolved himself to the fact that it was toward the end of his life, and so there were things like my family would be frustrated with them because he wouldn't want to do doctor's visits and things like this, because in his mind it was just prolonging the inevitable, and he had made peace with it, and it was a point of contention for us at first, and then as I got to know him, it was less for me, and I would try to explain it, but it's hard, like, and the terminology that you use, beyond understanding, is so like spot on, because it was so, I could see me knowing, my family so well, but also knowing him, it's like they just couldn't understand it, because what they knew was life, and but his peace was there, and I saw it and I understood it, and so all that to say, basically, that summed it up perfectly. Like, your terminology was very spot on, and yeah. So kudos. And I'm so glad that that conversation segue into you talking about the book and the process. That's such an interesting thing. So since we got there, I do want to talk a little bit about it. The process of like formulating the steps, like you had, so you started with the acronym and then work backwards, or how did you like formulate the steps to
So
build,
it's been happening anyway, you know
right,
what I mean, over my adult life in particular. It's already been happening. As you already know, I've been a holistic practitioner
right,
for over 20 years, and a transformational life coach, and a massage therapist, and a motivational speaker, and workshop facilitator. Ta-da! All of those things, right?
right, yeah,
And so it's been happening. And the thing is, once I went into the psychiatric unit back in 2017, and the big focus was self-care. The big focus was burn the cape, take it off, burn it, get rid of it. You are not anybody's savior. You need to be focusing on saving yourself.
right, right.
When I was faced with that, right, that woke me up. I was in there for 2 weeks, and it woke me up. The first 3 days I was there, I wasn't even able to get the help I needed because I was so busy in closed door meetings with them, trying to get them to fix the unprofessionalism that I was peeping out. And I was just like, no way. Like, no way. This is not fair for any of us. We can't do this. This is not going to work. And by the third day, they were like, just tell us exactly what you want us to do, and we'll do it. We'll stop doing this. We'll stop doing that. Because I was like, yo, you all promised me that I was going to get help. And that's not what's happening.
Right.
So once we got that straight on day 3, that's when I was finally able to start getting the help I needed. And a lot of it was around boundaries. It was around self-care. It was around burning the cape. So that's what really started my mind to starting to connect dots that has been going on throughout my life. And Just Her Getaway is what we talked about the last time I was with you all, as far as the movement that I started to empower women to take quality time for themselves, as well as the virtual travel concierge, the first virtual travel agency just for women. Back in December, I did a workshop that's titled the same as the book, Let Go or Be Dragged. And as I was preparing for that workshop, that's when I was like, okay, it's time. Finish connecting these dots, because this is what you're supposed to be talking about. And so the main thing I talk about is self-care, divine self-care. So for me, it was a no-brainer. However, this process that you've been working on for the last 20 years is going to present itself. It's going to be this acronym. You know what I mean? And so I just wrote that out. And then it was easy. You know what I mean? Because like you said, it's what I've been living.
Definitely.
You know, it's what
Yeah.
I've been living. So, and I did the same thing with the other ebook that
Mm-hmm.
I've come out with since the last time I was with you all,
Yeah.
which
Because
is
you got two of them.
yes, I do, in less than 2.5 months,
Right.
literally.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But when
Yeah.
it's time, it's time, and you know that, baby.
Exactly.
You know what I
Exactly. And
mean?
that's what it is.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So that's how I came up with that to answer your
That's,
question.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's uh I like how it's structured. I'm a fan of you giving the reader or the consumer kind of the ball, like giving them the tools, but not saying just like we just said, not saying this is what it looks like for you, but saying find out what that looks like for you and attain and work to attaining that. And that's I think where the quality of the process and the success of the process comes from, is actually helping. So it's so interesting that you mentioned about going into the psychiatric ward, and before you even began to get help, recognizing the issues with what was going on there. Because, like you say, you were going to get help, and I've seen that world to a certain extent through the eyes of people who I've known who have been there, and that sentiment has been the same. Has
It's
been like
not a
it's
joke.
more of a, yeah, it's more of a place to kind of put you away than to actually try to help you in any way. It's like family sends you there so they don't have to deal with the issue or deal with
If
their own issue with it. Go ahead.
if
Yeah.
you don't know what it looks like, I call it the other side of the wall. That was
Mm-hmm.
my first time ever getting a chance to see what it looks like on the other side of the wall.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know, if you've not been there, you don't know. If
Right. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
haven't actually been there because you were a patient, you
Right.
don't know.
Yeah.
And when I got a chance to go to the other side of the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and I got a chance to see, oh my goodness. And I told them, now I understand why so many of us are slipping through the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
Now I understand why so many of us are taking our lives, because you all are not listening.
Right.
You're
Right.
not listening to us. You're not taking us seriously. You're actually in here straight up and down treating us like crap. You're
Right.
talking trash to us,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Because you think that we're so drugged out of our minds that it doesn't matter what you say to us.
Mm-hmm.
But we can still hear it.
Mm-hmm.
We can still feel that some of you all are not here with our best interests at heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I couldn't go for it, Dave.
Right. Yeah.
I
Well.
couldn't go for it. I was looking
Yeah.
around and I could see so many of us that were in there who were heavily drugged,
Mm-hmm.
and they were not able to advocate. But
Right.
I was goddamned if I wasn't going to do it.
I hear you. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, shit, I can do it.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm continuing to do it.
That's
And I
good.
just know that I have to find my balance
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that I'm not overwhelming myself.
Right. Right.
And gratefully, I have a phenomenal Black woman as my therapist. And I just continue to do the work. You know what I mean?
Right.
One
Right.
day at a time, I just continue to do the work. It's going to look different, every day. But
Absolutely.
we deserve advocacy on our behalf. No doubt about it. We do.
Yeah. And not just
And
deserve, but need it, right? Like
yeah,
like that's what that
absolutely.
process showed you. It's necessary.
Yeah,
Like they not
really.
advocating for us, right? So.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, for goodness sake, where I expected to have
Right.
it to
It
be
wasn't.
faced
My
with,
goodness.
the level of unprofessionalism from the
Mm-hmm.
staff, from
Mm-hmm.
the doctors, from the directors, from the teachers of the various classes. It was just like, wait a minute. Why are you using that type of terminology? Why are you using those types of tones? What's going on here? You know?
Yeah. So. Yeah, they have my thought when you were saying that was, yeah, they got the right one, you know.
They definitely did. They
Yeah.
definitely did.
So,
Yeah. And I'm
so,
grateful that it, after 3 days, it finally, clicked. Like,
mhm.
okay, this woman knows that this is the way that they're supposed to be being treated. She
Right.
knows it. She's very clear about that. We're going to need to, even if it's just for the amount of time that she's in here.
Right. Right.
Because my peers that were in there
Mhm.
along with me, uh, I was hearing the things they were saying
Right.
that I could relate to and that resonated with me.
Mhm.
Some of them were saying, I just want to get back to the old me.
Mhm.
I just want to feel like how I used to feel before when I was okay, when my mind was my mind.
Mhm.
Um, Things like that,
Right.
you know? And we needed space to be able to do that,
Right. To
to
get
work
back. Yeah.
towards that. A
Mhm.
nice, peaceful space where
Yeah.
we weren't being harassed
Right.
and talked trash to and
Right.
yelled at, you know?
Mhm.
We deserve that. And that's what we were told that we were going to get.
Yeah.
So,
That wasn't. Yeah.
you
Wow.
know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So you spoke briefly to having a black therapist, and there has been a discussion about the relevance of um, just having someone who looks like you to talk to, who can understand your experiences on a level that maybe others can't. Now, I mean, some people say that it's a valid, a thought process, and then some people say, well, anybody you get, as long as they're trained, can kind of handle the situation. Like, where do you fall in that discussion?
Culture, culture.
Mm,
How are you raised?
right.
What country are you raised in?
Mm-hmm.
Background is important. For me, the reason why I love my therapist is because I can talk to her
Mm,
and know that she's going to understand cultural relevance when it comes to what I've gone through as a child and as an adult. She can understand because she's able to relate. She's able to relate and understand, okay, although it's not necessarily across the board, all African Americans experience the exact same thing.
mm,
There are a lot of similarities
right.
depending on where we've come from. And when you're able to talk about things that are so intimate
Right.
with someone that understands cultural relevance, it
Right.
makes such a big deal. I had to fire my first therapist,
Mm-hmm.
a Caucasian man. He did not get it. He didn't get it, and it wasn't going to work. So it matters. It can allow you to trust, which in turn allows you to open up
Right.
and be able to talk and work through the things that you need to, that you want to. Because what's the point if you can't? What's the point of having a therapist?
Exactly.
If you can't trust them,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
can't trust that you can talk to them and that
Right.
you can talk with them and that they actually care about you and your cultural relevance,
Exactly.
what's the
Exactly.
point?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I stand on it.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. It's exactly what you said. Those shared experiences and those similarities are there. So it's only logical to use them, to leverage them to affect the quality of the experience that you present for your patient. So
Yeah.
and having a deeper understanding of that because you lived it or have a cultural connection to it
Yeah.
is that much better. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's where I fall with that also. So so yeah, I want to of course talk some more about all of the successes that you've had since you left here. I'm not saying that, I'm not attributing it directly to your last interview here, but all I'm saying is it all happened after you were on Neighborish Live. So that's
Neighborish
all I'm saying.
live, honey. It's the juice.
Well, we do what we can here, but no, so you
Hold
did,
on 1 second.
sure,
One
sure,
second. Hold on. Hold on.
yeah, yeah. So I'm about to talk to her about this amazing interview that she did. I believe it was almost a year ago. She'll clarify about her journey of living sofas free, and yeah.
I'm
So
back.
yeah, yeah. I was just telling the viewers we were going to talk about this interview that you did that went viral and made you a
Yay.
national star and stuff. So the last time you were here, you went into living sofas and whole plant exclusive, sofas free and whole plant exclusive. And
Exactly.
so, but for some people who may not have seen it, can you just kind of go through that a little bit, what it entails, and
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay. So I eat SoFast free, whole food plant exclusive. That is my live it, not my diet, because I'm living, I'm not dying, and I'm eating life and I'm eating for my life.
mm,
SoFast free is salt, oil, flour, alcohol, sugar free, whole food plant exclusive, not based, because all I eat are plants.
right, right. I'm sorry, real quick.
Exclusively.
Can you so I just had a discussion about this.
Mhm.
Where was that? Anyway, it doesn't matter where I was, but but just about the difference between eating
Plant based.
plant-based
Mhm.
and actually eating like foods derived, like made from plants, as opposed to
Okay.
plant-based.
So individually, everyone's gonna have their own definitions,
Okay.
for these various labels.
Mm,
Um, everybody's gonna have their own definition for vegan, for plant-based, and so on and so forth. For me, I'm super specific about specifying that I'm not plant-based simply because I see a lot that the based part is to
mm.
indicate that sometimes there's something else.
Right, right.
And so I'm real specific to make sure people understand that for me, how I'm eating is salt, oil, flour, alcohol, sugar free, whole food, plant exclusive.
Plant exclusive, as opposed,
Exactly,
yeah.
because I just eat whole food plants. Um, Vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, um, a little bit nuts, seeds, but not too much of that because I'm more so low calorie density. That's how I dropped the 64 pounds
Mm-hmm.
in less than 8 months. And that's how I continue to keep it off. So fast free, whole food plant exclusive. So that's how I eat. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's and I'm glad you explained the sofas, because people be like, I don't want to live sofas free. I just sit on the couch. I mean, sit on the chair. But anyway, it was a bad joke. I tried. It didn't land. They don't all land. But anyway, but yeah, about the plant based and things. I was because it seems like that terminology, like in marketing, they have things like that. They have
I do.
these things, these mechanisms for explaining ambiguity, or
Mhm.
for leaving room for ambiguity, and
Exactly.
so,
And
and
I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. I understand that it is important to be inclusive. So I respect the terminology. I
okay,
respect that from that perspective, it is important to make sure that people understand eating plants in general, even if it's not all you eat,
hmm,
is a wonderful thing.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
mhm,
Our bodies are loving it,
yeah,
however much we can manage to eat, you
right,
know? So yeah, I respect that. As a transformational life coach, I meet people where they are.
right,
And sometimes I understand people don't understand that.
hmm,
Um, when they are coming to me to get coached with eating for my life,
hmm,
um, sometimes they don't understand that it doesn't matter if they eat meat.
hmm,
I coach a lot of people who eat meat.
okay,
I coach a lot of people who say they're going to eat meat, continue to eat it. I don't care. What matters more is, are you eating any plants?
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But even
Yeah.
beyond that, what does it look like for you to care for yourself?
Mhm.
What does it look like to nurture yourself? What does that look like? Let's talk about that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether
Yeah.
it's what we're eating, watching, drinking,
Mhm.
seeing, you know what I mean? Any of the
Right.
above.
Yeah.
Let's talk. I start there.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? The
Mhm.
reality is there are plenty of people out here for all sorts of different reasons that meat is what they eat. I was fortunate enough to meet a young lady that lives in Tanzania, okay?
Mhm. Mhm.
And her family, for legacies, okay, for centuries now, they have herded animals and eat the animals that they herd.
Mhm.
And when she was talking to me about that, and I was telling her how I eat,
Mhm.
she was like, I want to get more into eating plants. And I told her, I probably would wind up eating what you eat
Mhm.
because if I live there,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's me, Dave. I meet
Yeah.
people where they are.
Definitely.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's
Yeah.
why I do not call myself a vegan.
Okay.
I eat so fast free, whole food plant exclusive. I'm in all sorts of vegan groups. It's
Mhm.
wonderful. Of course, we eat plants,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I like to make sure it's clear, though, that I'm not interested in being connected to the political machine that is vegan.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. I'm
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
And one of my favorite things about talking to you is the freedom and the nature in which you talk opens up, different ideas and different avenues. So it's going off my beaten path here a little bit, but I do want to ask you about um, vegan and sulfur free and whole plant exclusive is I see I'm
Uh-huh.
working on my enunciation, but
Enunciation.
but but yeah, it's for some people it's such a foreign subject that they feel
Mhm.
like I'm listening to you talking, and when I hear you say, I eat plant exclusive and I eat plants, and I'm sure they like seeing you with like a ficus and just but it's but so can you just go through like maybe a daily meal for you, a daily meal plan, like what you have like for breakfast, lunch, dinner, the
Well,
different things?
again, Dave, I actually stopped using labels like breakfast, lunch, dinner,
See,
snack,
yeah.
treat. I stopped using those when I was forming a plan for my
Okay.
success at the beginning of last year. That's
Mhm.
the first letter in the acronym FREEDOM, which is
Okay.
a 7-step process that I
Oh,
created.
great segue. Okay, go
Yes.
ahead.
To successfully recommit to eating SoFast free whole food plant exclusive again
Mhm.
and sustainably continuing to do so.
Okay.
And freedom, which you mentioned just now,
Yeah.
um, the freedom acronym stands for F, forming a plan for success. So that's what I had to do. And a part of that was recognizing that using breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, cheat days, treats, those they weren't helping me.
Right, right.
So R is research,
Mhm.
E is establish our
Mhm.
why it is that I want to change the way I'm eating.
Mhm.
The next E, establish our support system. First of all, figure out how to become my own support system.
Right.
And then I can move forward figuring out community, building community.
Mhm.
D, decide to banish people pleasing because when you are doing things that are so different from darn near everybody else around you, you ain't gonna be able to care about what people think. You're
Yeah.
not gonna be able to care about pleasing anybody. You got to put you first.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
the M is making our journey our own.
Mhm.
So I already talked about that with,
Right.
the other
Exactly.
8-step process.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it shouldn't
Yeah.
surprise you.
Right. Right.
There's a lot about that. But anyway, so with that being said, that I don't, use those terminologies,
Okay.
gratefully, I recognize at the beginning of last year, when I was recommitting to eating so fast free whole food plant exclusive, that what I wanted my end result to be was that I would just eat whenever my body calls for fuel,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm so grateful because I've been here now for over 6 months. I dropped that 64 pounds in less than 8 months, and that was over 6 months ago. I've been free from largely free. Every so often, I get some memory cravings,
Mm-hmm.
which aren't about my body as much as my brain and
Right, right.
conditioning
Mm-hmm.
and locations. I'm at the beach. I want crab legs and buckets of fries. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like, what? I don't eat that stuff. Not like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But largely freedom from cravings. Gratefully, I've been experiencing that now for over 6 months,
Yeah.
and just eating whenever my body calls for fuel. So I say all that. That's the long way to answer your
Right, right,
question,
right. No, it's fine. It's
which
fine.
is, you know what? Leafy greens for first meal. That's how I broke the cravings and abstaining from salt, oil, flour, alcohol, and sugar,
Mm-hmm.
followed by some sort of sulfite-free starch.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my favorites, spinach,
Mm-hmm.
seasoned with some smoked paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, and salt substitute like Mrs. Dash table blend.
Mm-hmm.
Throw a carton of mushrooms in there, you
Mm-hmm.
know, saute in a non-stick pan, low heat. Just take my time because I deserve to eat food that I took my time to fix. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm dope like that and I love myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then also take some potatoes, cube them up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Put them inside of a non-stick pan and take my time, low heat. Let them things, cover them with some, Mrs. Dash table blend. Let them things take their time. And now I got my greens, my leafy greens,
Mm-hmm.
and I got my potatoes, and I can eat that at any time of the day. Okay. So that's a meal that I would eat, just to give you an
Yeah. Yeah.
example of a day. I'm
Yeah.
getting my fruit in there. I love my golden delicious apples
Mm-hmm.
and bananas.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm eating that. I'm drinking anywhere from 4 to 7 of these every day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. These are
Water.
23-ounce bottles of water. I
Mm-hmm.
get my water in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important. Yeah.
Particularly because the more water we're consuming, that's right for each one of our, amounts of how much we weigh and so on and
Right.
so forth. So it's different for everybody. This
Mm-hmm.
is just what works for me.
Right.
But the more that we're drinking water and making regular hydration our daily thing, the more our body is willing to release water
Right.
and
Right.
let go of bloating and
Right. Yeah.
inflammation.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
interesting how that works, but that's how it works. So,
Okay.
um, baked potatoes, honey,
Mm-hmm.
baked
Yeah.
potatoes.
Yeah. I remember you said that's one of your favorite. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Regular and sweet. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
prep involves, like, literally on a Sunday, prep involves, because my daughter actually for the last 3 weeks, she's really been getting into changing her habits
Mm-hmm.
during the week. So I've had to make sure that if she's not fixing, prepping, then I am, because she loves, she volunteers at the animal hospital. She loves
Right.
being able to just grab them baked potatoes. She knows she needs that, energy
Mm-hmm.
for when she goes in there and works with the animals. So
Yeah.
I always make sure I have those on deck.
Okay.
Regular baked potatoes and sweet potatoes baked.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're baking, it's caramelizing the natural sugars.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sweeter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Good stuff.
yeah, in general,
Mm.
those are like some basics for me.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. And like I said, a lot of what you say, will spark something specific. Like you talked about the idea, and it's so foreign. It's crazy that it's foreign, but the
Right.
idea that you deserve to take the time to make a meal for
That's
yourself,
right.
because that's one of the things that we sacrifice, and
Yeah.
it's become commonplace to sacrifice so readily. That's why fast food exists
I know.
because we know we need fuel,
Yeah.
but there's no, there's no time and care given to the prep like it,
We've
and
gotten
that's
away from it.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I was about to
Yeah,
say.
we've
Yeah,
gotten away from
yeah,
it, right? Over
yeah,
the years,
yeah.
we've gotten away from it, and we're trying to figure out how to get back to it. I see
Right.
it happening. We're trying to figure out how to get back to it, and we can.
Mm-hmm.
This pandemic has slowed us down,
Mm-hmm.
in massive ways,
Mm-hmm.
and it's possible. We're
Definitely
doing
is.
it,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
doing it. I mean, I was talking with a student the other day who I coach and was just talking about uh something so simple as how I think when I go in the grocery store to pick out my produce. I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
prayers to the
Mm-hmm.
growers, to the staff at the grocery store as I'm putting my hands on each individual piece of produce. I'm saying prayers of thankfulness and gratefulness that I even have the means to even be able to get this,
Mm-hmm.
to feed myself and my family with this awesome whole food plant. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I get in the kitchen and go to cook, I'm excited. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in there for a long time sometimes, depending on what it is that I'm putting together.
Right.
But yo, I get to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I get to spend this type of time and I get to put this type of time into myself, show myself this type of love.
Yeah.
I'm hyped.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
hyped, man.
That's it's
Perspective is everything, Dave.
100%.
It's
Yes. Yes.
everything. You
And
know,
it's something that's been stolen from us. Like we don't even have our own perspective. Like
we
what you
got to
just
get it back.
mentioned, exactly what you just mentioned is so foreign to people. They like I don't want to do that and have to take time to cook and blah blah blah. You don't
Yeah,
want to care for what comes into your what you're putting in your body, but it's
yeah,
it's manufactured. It's taught to us that
yeah,
they McDonald's they're a national company. They wouldn't hurt us, so I'll go ahead and it's like come on, man. You got to give more care and focus to what you're putting in your body and but the way you put it like you deserve to
hmm
take the time to
You do.
carefully create
You
what you're
do.
putting in your body and take care in the making is
Yeah.
but the way you put it is so powerful. Like I said, I always feel like I come away from conversations with you better for the experience and I appreciate it. So you mentioned your one of your students. You have a class now, so it's like a conventional class, like you teach in front of like well, I know it'll probably be over Zoom now, or is it more individual, or how first of all, how did you start the class, and then how does it work?
Okay, then. So, over the last year, I'm so grateful to have been able to inspire people around the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
From Switzerland to Germany to Morocco and everywhere in between. And as a result, um, I wrote the book, Eating from My Life, Salt, Oil, Flour, Alcohol, Sugar Free, Whole Food Plant Exclusive, A Liberating Journey. That's the name of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about my journey, my health journey thus far, as well as the 7-step process to the acronym Freedom
Mm-hmm.
that I talked about earlier.
Right.
And when I was getting ready to put the book out, officially announced that it was coming out,
Mm-hmm.
I knew because so many people have been asking me, you need to teach a class, you need to teach a class, you need to teach a class. So what I did was I did a live master class the same day my book dropped,
Mm-hmm.
which was on November the 30th. And I got the type of feedback that I received for the most part was from those who were not able to make it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go back to the drawing board
Right.
and think about what could I do that would work for all these different time zones
Mm-hmm.
that I'm grateful, and privileged enough to have people that, are coming to me to be coached. Yeah, And so what I came up with is an 8-week online masterclass which is called Freedom Looks Good on You.
Nice, nice.
And what we do is we take 8 weeks to break down that freedom is in the journey. And in the master class, well, with purchase of the master class, you are able to get a bonus 30-minute phone consult with me, as well as 8 weeks access to email and text coaching from me on a weekly basis, as well as a weekly email and check-in from me that is contains the module for that week, um, as well as a motivational moment affirmation video to get you hype on a weekly basis from me. And it's very hands-on.
I see. Yeah.
And it's all online. So everyone who is in class, depending on what cycle, because right now we are getting ready to start cycle 3. No, cycle 4.
Right.
Yeah. I forget because I've released a lot of cycles.
Right.
Cycle 1, actually, this is its last week right now of cycle 1, right? Which started on January the 4th. But it's been going wonderful. And I'm so grateful to see how many people's lives are being blessed, the type of breakthroughs that they are having. As a transformational life coach, I provide private coaching. So that happens during those, the email and the text coaching, as well as the phone coaching, and also video, as well as cooking. All of that's available, whether you're in the class or you're not. All of it's available to be able to purchase. So yeah, it's been going wonderful. Yeah, it has.
Yeah, like you said, it sounds very involved and yeah for you, and labor intensive for you. Have you had any issues finding time to do everything and to contact
I
everybody?
just make the time, I make the time because it's what I love to do. I make sure that, my classes, they sell out really, really fast. I make sure that I know what works for me. I brought on additional staff recently. That's how I've been able to now launch more than one cycle at a time. So right now there are 2 cycles left before the summer that are available for people to sign up for. Yeah, I've just been figuring it out, as far as being someone who's been in business for the last 20 years anyway. It's business, Dave,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? We just figured out it's business.
Make it happen.
Yeah. So it's been going wonderful.
We're going to go back over all of it at the end, but I do want you to really quickly let people know where they can sign up or where they can purchase the class and all of that.
Okay, so eatingformylife.com, EATINGFORMYL1FE. So they're the 1 instead of an I in the word life. Eatingformylife.com. And we're everywhere else. Social media, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook page. That's where you find us. And join us.
Yeah, and it's definitely worth it. As you all have heard here, extremely motivational, extremely inspirational. And like I said, just the wealth of knowledge and the security in the knowledge. Like I said, you can tell when you listen to somebody, you're like, I don't know what they're talking about, but you can definitely, you exude that knowledge and that wisdom that you gained through the time.
I'm living it every, you know what I mean? I'm living it every day. This is what I'm living. I mean, I'm literally, I did a post the other day. I'm in uncharted territory. I have never in my life gone this long without consuming added salt, added oil, flour products, meat, dairy. Well, meat I have already because I had already been gone, a long time without that. Dairy, refined sugar, any kind of sugar outside of what's naturally occurring in the foods I'm eating. Same thing for sodium, alcohol.
Right.
I just celebrated 1 year sober. New Year's Eve, no alcohol. And it's been wonderful.
Congratulations.
Yeah, no alcohol. It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful to learn crutch-free living. That's what I do. Crutch-free living. You know, figuring out how to cope with life myself.
Yeah, I think
Going within.
I think a real interesting aspect of that is the experience that you gain and you're able to share the value in the experience of being able to say, this is what I did, and I stopped it, I went in this direction, and this is how it positively affected me. So can you talk a little bit about going from being someone who ate sofas to someone who to excluding it from your diet, and some of the changes that you noticed beyond excluding the obvious, the change in weight, but also, like, what are some of the other changes?
Oh my goodness. Clarity of thinking, honey. Wow. No more foggy brain. No more foggy brain. And energy. You already know because you're familiar with me, Dave. I'm already a high energy person and have always been. It's on another level now. It's on another level now. So clarity of thinking dramatically improved. Energy dramatically improved. Sleep. Oh my goodness. Nice, peaceful sleep. I stay on top of making sure that I get my sleep as well. Okay. No more blood pressure issues. No more diabetes issues. No more. I don't have to be concerned about those kind of health issues that came from consuming sofas. So those are a few of the major changes that I have been experiencing. And the biggest one is the freedom from cravings. It's no more, you know what? I'm in the mood for, I feel like I got a taste for. That is over, Dave. It feels so wonderful to be able to live a life that is not driven by cravings. It has freed up so much of my life. I do other stuff now, like learn how to fly a plane.
Yeah, you did do that, didn't you?
Yes. Like get married to myself. Because, life is good.
Right. Yeah, so you did marry yourself. I do want to talk about that. Real quick, I do want to ask you the other side of that. So in the change in your diet, were there any negative side effects that you recognize, or anything that you could prepare people for as they go into the journey that they might experience?
The biggest things that I would say to go on a journey like this, particularly SoFast free, is as your body makes its various changes, be prepared to remember how important it is to love yourself. As it makes its physical changes. I know what it's like to have a booty. For lack of a better way of saying it. Okay. Yeah, I do. Booty, not there so much anymore. But guess what? So what? You know what I'm saying? Because I saw a poem years ago that summed it up. And in the poem, it said, my body asked me, could you just love me as I am? And that stayed in my mind. And so I say, I know what it's like to have a booty. But guess what? Freedom from cravings is way better. I can get some jeans and make me look like I got a booty. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. What I care about is that I have freedom from cravings. I care that I can move. You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't move at the beginning of last year. Oh, Dave. Oh, honey. I could barely walk 60 seconds without my heart beating so fast. My knees felt like they were ready to shatter. All of the weight that I had on them. You know what I mean? I don't feel like that anymore. You know, I move, okay? I get up and I move, and it's with such ease. So that I think is the number one thing that I would say is just keep in mind that you love yourself. And you're going to love yourself as your body changes. You know what I mean? And looks different, you know? And yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's good.
Sorry about the booty talk.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Yeah, we hear a little booty talk every now and again. But
I know we get real on here.
yeah, definitely. Real quick, I wanted to ask you. I feel like the last time, and this might just be me, and my skewed memory, but I feel like the last time Sophus was salt, oil, fat.
You had said that, but it was flour. It's always flour.
Okay, so I've been saying it wrong. I figured it was just me. I'll be slipping sometime. But
it's okay. It's important. If you're not the only one, a lot of people do that. A lot of people think that's it, and that's not. It's not it. It's flour. Although I will say, when you eat sulfite-free, whole food plant exclusive, particularly low calorie density specific, which is the way that I drop the weight, and for the most part, how I continue to eat. I do a little high calorie density whole food plants in the form of nuts now, but I'm still real particular because I know triggers, and I know that I'm in recovery, and I know for me, dates, another high calorie density whole food plant, it triggers overeating for me. My brain just starts saying, I want it.
Right.
Yeah. So I can't eat dates. I actually just came to that realization a few months ago. Like it doesn't even work for me. But as far as like raw nuts are concerned, like I keep them in my trunk of my car. But I can't have them in the house. Yeah.
The access to them will give you.
Oh yeah, because that's what a part of freedom, that 7-step process is. Being real with yourself about your triggers, about what works for you, about what doesn't. Not trying to force something that isn't working for you. You know? Like some people ask me when I talked about the dates thing, well, can't you just eat them every once in a while? And my answer is, for what? It's not worth it. Dates are not that serious in the grand scheme of things. Ripe bananas and baked sweet potatoes are the shiznit. Okay, where my sweetness comes from. It's not, and I'm not encouraged to overeat those things. I'm not triggered to overeat ripe bananas and baked sweet potatoes. So I'm good, you know? And I had to come to that realization even about trying to replicate cheese sauces. Or cheesy this, or breaded this. Hey, salt, oil, flour, alcohol, sugar-free. I'm not ingesting flour products. I tried to call myself making, mozzarella cheese sticks. Forks over knives. It's a forks over knives recipe. And after I made it, I realized, let it go. Let it go. You can actually just let go, trying to think you can try to replicate or need to replicate breaded anything.
Mhm.
Flour is not a part of what you eat anymore. Let it go. And it just felt so much easier when I let it go. Same thing with cheese sauces.
Mhm.
I've come up, on some awesome ones, if
Mhm.
you will, but I feel and felt wonderful once I just let it go.
There you go.
I
Yeah.
don't eat cheese.
Right, right.
You know what
I'm
I'm
not trying to
saying?
replicate it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
It's
let
all
it
good.
go.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to, yeah, that's true. You don't have to fit in or try to, make it look like, well, it looks just like it. So, because all that trying to fool your brain stuff is not,
Yeah.
where it's
It
at.
doesn't help. It doesn't help.
It
It
doesn't.
wasn't helping me.
Okay.
That's what I learned. It wasn't
Right,
helping
right,
me. But
right.
when I let it go, then it was like, ah, that's
Yeah.
over.
Right. Yeah, yeah. You don't even have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, let
Yeah.
me get into this baked sweet
Yeah,
potato. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah, and that's the freedom. That's definitely, yeah, that's beautiful. So I do want to talk about you marrying yourself. Now,
Yes,
this is something that
honey.
when you say this, it conjures thoughts of people like you remember in the '90s, like Dennis Rodman had the whole thing where he
I
had like the
do.
head,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
had to
yeah.
dress up like it and all that. But bringing it up to date and a more serious and more intimate thing with yourself. Like, can you
Mhm.
explain what brought you to the point of doing that, and what the process was?
Sure. So, as you know, we've already been talking about, and as you know, because we're friends, in general, last year was such a powerful year
Mm-hmm.
for me in general of stepping outside the comfort zone
Yeah.
in so many different ways
Mm-hmm.
that it makes me tear up to even think about. You know
Mm-hmm.
how people at the end of every year, when it's about to be a new year, the Gregorian calendar year,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
um, they will list, their accomplishments and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I got lost.
Mm-hmm.
That's how 2020 was for me.
Right. Right.
And that's dope. And I realized, you know what? So, like, you don't even do comfort zones anymore. That's what you doing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't do comfort zones anymore. You just push. You just push. You just push. And I realized, looking back, as the winter solstice approached, which is a very powerful time,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that my ancestors and your ancestors um, took time in general and focused on. Um, I realized that I had, for the first time in my adult life, had a whole Gregorian calendar year of just really loving up on myself and really showing myself that we got this,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm in my corner, that I got my back, and that I'm not leaving me. I'm not leaving me. Like, this is going to be how we move forward, period. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, so girl, what you waiting on? Let's get married. What you waiting on? It's time to make this official. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And I thought about um how, for years I've always loved the way diamond solitaires looked.
Mm-hmm.
Always loved the way they looked. I always thought they were beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I learned about conflict-free diamonds, of
Mm-hmm.
course,
Yeah.
over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that I wanted to get a diamond solitaire to celebrate my love for myself as I married myself in a wedding that I had for myself and reception. Okay.
All right.
Um, I knew that I wanted, and it was so awesome because my daughter, who's 17, about to be 18, she came with me when I went to go get my ring. And I was going to get a smaller ring, a smaller size. And she looked at me and she said, Mommy, if you're going to do this. She said, go hard or go home. You did not come to play. And I said, you are absolutely right, sweetheart. So I got a bigger size because I'm worth that. Because I deserve it. And it's because it's what I really wanted any daggone ways.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So as you see, I'm still evolving. We all are in this thing called self-love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm always going to continue to evolve, and I embrace that. And so I said the winter solstice the best time, and that's what I did. I got married to myself, and I'm still celebrating. My spouse is awesome, Dave. He dope.
Yeah. And one of the reasons I wanted you to talk about that, and I'm such a fan of, uh, uh, you know, of what you've done, because it's like with most things with you, it's something that when you first say it, it sounds like such a foreign, just idea
Yeah.
that people put it in a certain category. Like I know when you say that, people hear a certain thing, and that's why I brought up, like the Dennis Rodman and things like that. But when you think about it, like when you really think about it, which is what I did, and which is why it was important for me to have you talk about it here.
Yeah.
The idea of what a wedding is, of the vows that you take, that you commit to another person. Why wouldn't you want to commit that to yourself? Why shouldn't you do that for yourself first before you commit to anyone, or just do that? And so it's and once that thought, resonated with me, it all was like, this makes perfect sense, and I'm marrying myself tomorrow. No, I'm not.
Come through, Dave. I'm gonna sing at your wedding, baby.
I'm gonna hold you to it. No, but yeah,
you know I do it.
Yeah, just the idea of committing that wholly, for lack of a better term, to yourself, to your own happiness, to your own well-being, to
That's right.
through sickness and in health, for better or for worse,
That's
until
right.
death do us
That's
part.
right. Yes.
And the more I thought
And
about it,
beyond.
the more dope and beyond, the more dope it became. So that's why, to kind of break the stigma, because I definitely understand, like when you hear it, just to hear that is like, oh, okay. But then, really, like I said, really thinking about it, it makes sense. It makes so much sense. And that's like, in my experience with you, that's kind of what it is. It's like, it makes sense. Like your wisdom is uh, unmatched, I'll say. I haven't,
Thank you, Dave.
yeah, it's always, like I said, it's always dope talking to you. So,
Likewise.
like I said, I want to go through, really quickly, because you have so much stuff out there, and I want to make sure people know where to find you.
Okay.
For the different places, like you said, you try to meet people where they are, and so for their needs, like, because you supply so much, that it's pretty much anything people need, they can find it, from Abundance is My Birthright, or Just Her Getaway, or go ahead.
Remember what we were talking about, is that I am grateful that I have this thing that I believe, and that is, we don't need middle people. We don't absolutely need middle people. We can actually provide ourselves with the things that we want to do, and we can create the avenues for ourselves to showcase whatever is on our heart to do. That's what you're doing with Neighborish Live.
Definitely.
You don't have to wait. You know what I mean? I don't have to wait to be, some big star actress, vocalist. I can actually just create my own label and release my music as the first artist on the label. Greenlight Productions, shout out. That's my label. Okay. So I don't have to wait to get picked up in anyone's movie or film. I'm a playwright. I'm a film writer. I can actually, which is what I'm doing right now, just write it myself. Whatever's on my heart, whatever songs, whatever films, whatever videos, whatever books, whatever classes, I don't have to wait. I don't have to wait on Amazon to say I'm a bestseller.
Right,
I can
right.
just actually say I'm a bestseller
Yeah,
because I am,
yeah,
and get all my money.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
We
exactly.
don't need middle anything.
Right,
It's nothing wrong with it.
right,
You know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
It's important, and I'm very grateful that I recognize I don't have to have validation outside of myself
Uh-huh,
from any space.
uh-huh.
And I feel like that's one of my purposes, Dave,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
to just go after whatever I want to do.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's definitely one of your superpowers. Yeah, I say it every time. Yeah,
Thank you, Dave. I
definitely.
appreciate that. So, you know what? One place, one stop shop, abundance is our birthright.com.
And
Whatever it is,
I want to say it right. I keep saying abundance is mine. It's abundance is our birthright.
I like
Right?
that you say it's yours because
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
But I want to get the URL right too, so they
Yes.
can get to you. But it's
Yes. It's abundance is our birthright.com.
Mhm.
ABUNDANCEISOURRITE.
Right, right, right,
Because rites of passage.
right, right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
Abundance is our birthright.com.
yeah.
There you will find all the information
Mhm.
on everything that I've been up to, that I continue to get up to, eating for my life, just her getaway, forever unschooled. Shout out, okay, to my
Mhm.
babies. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And the new move that my youngest is debuting, the new company that she is debuting in business
Okay.
next Sunday, this coming Sunday on her birthday. Couture Kits, keep
Yeah.
y'all eyes out. Okay,
Okay.
then it's a phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and so much more. And as well as a beautiful African Black business directory that's
Yeah.
there showcasing the phenomenal that we are
Mhm.
as Africans. All at abundanceisourbirthright.com. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. And we'll make sure we post the link, man. Make sure I'll go and check that out. And you can also find the books and the classes and everything through there also, right?
Absolutely, because each business is highlighted and the URL for each business is there. And then you
Great.
can click
Great.
on that. And it'll take you to, each individual lane that I drive in.
Do you prefer any one specific one more than any other? Do you have a favorite?
Mm-mm. Nope. Tranquil Blessings is what started it all years ago. That's
Okay.
the umbrella. And if I
Right.
have to say there's a favorite, it's Tranquil Blessings. That's why I keep it up
Mhm.
as the splash for my
Right. Right.
private page.
Mhm.
Because that's where it all began.
Okay.
The mobile massage and spa company,
Right. Yeah.
holistic,
Yeah.
family provider of holistic services, Tranquil Blessings,
Okay.
and just have grown from there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Not no one thing in particular because it's all me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's all me. All these
Yeah.
different parts of me,
There you
And speaking of the Greenlight Productions,
go. Mhm.
um a part of the new ebook that I just dropped, Let Go or Be Dragged, Learning the Healing Art of Letting Go, has a bonus living soundtrack.
Okay.
So some of my breakthrough, because I say it is, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
original spoken word poetry and songs are a part of that soundtrack that comes with the book purchase. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, see, I don't want to. Okay, I don't want to put you on the spot, but
What's that?
do you have any spoken word? You can give us a little piece of something,
Um, yeah.
and you don't have to, of course, if you don't. I know it's
Yeah,
but if you
I
do,
can. I
okay,
can.
great, great.
Um, Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. They don't know that it wasn't for them to choose whether my little brother was to live or to die. They don't know that it really wasn't for them to decide. But I want to thank you, Mother, for giving me room in my heart to forgive and see that harboring hate would only obstruct the healing. would even further prevent me from dealing with how to go on living and growing and teach my little kids that the real secret is knowing that the only true way to survive is to let go of those hate ties that bind. Beware the false motives of others, and be careful of those who pretend to be lovers. And you never suppose it's those who are closest to you. They say all the right things to gain their position, and they use your kindness as their ammunition to shoot you down in the name of ambition. They do. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Oh, 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 oh.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Hey, that's such awesome.
I wrote that after I wrote that actually to say at the funeral of my little brother who was killed.
Yeah, I saw the emotion in you know, as you were performing it.
Yeah, just learning how to let go. Over 20 years ago, I wrote that. It's been over 20 years, and my little brother has been gone now, forever still in our hearts. Rest in power, Jerry. Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah,
Thank you,
that's
Neighborish
an
Livecast.
amazing way to
Always a
end this.
blessing.
Thank you so much for everything that you do, for having the just the wherewithal to recognize these things, these voids, and to you know, to want to fill them and help people, you know, and that's such a beautiful thing. You're a superhero. I love every time you come on here. You know, I do our conversations. I always enjoy our conversations. I appreciate you more than I can say. Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you, Dave. I
Definitely.
appreciate you too. I appreciate you all. Neighborish Livecast. You all are so awesome. The work that you're continuing to do is necessary.
Yeah.
And I thank you for it. I do. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And thank you all for watching another episode of Neighborish Live. On behalf of myself, Super Dave, my feminine energy who couldn't be with us today, and our illustrious guest, the incomparable EVON. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day and a great week. Take care of yourselves and each other. Oh, check us out this evening at 7 o'clock. We'll be back on with a special episode featuring Jason. So, yeah, y'all have a good one and peace.